The signal arrived like a bolt of lightning in an otherwise uneventful sky, shattering decades of quiet anticipation. For as long as we'd been capable of listening, humanity had scanned the heavens for any whisper, any hint that we were not alone in the vast expanse of the universe. Countless telescopes, probes, and algorithms had come up empty. Until now. It wasn't subtle either. No enigmatic patterns hidden in static or fleeting blips lost in the noise. This was a direct message, unambiguous in its intent. Encoded in mathematics so universal that even the most skeptical among us couldn't dismiss it. The signal had one purpose: to invite humanity to join something far greater than itself. The message contained coordinates and a directive, a call to convene at a designated point in space where a so-called Galactic Council awaited us. It was the kind of moment that science fiction had dreamed of and speculated on for centuries, yet the reality of it hit us harder than we could have imagined. Debates erupted across the globe. Was it a trap? Could this be some cosmic prank, or worse, an invasion? The timing was suspect, arriving just a few years after humanity had finally achieved faster-than-light travel, a monumental leap forward that had placed the stars within our reach. Yet for all the debates and fears, one thing was clear: we couldn't ignore it. For better or worse, humanity had been noticed. The promise of contact, of answers to questions that had haunted our species since the dawn of thought, was too tantalizing to resist. So, preparations began in earnest. The United Nations, now a unified governing body of Earth, assembled a delegation of scientists, diplomats, and military personnel. There were arguments about who should represent us, what we should say, and whether we were ready. In the end, the decision was made to send a small fleet of 3 ships, led by the Endeavour, under my command. As a relatively young commander, I was both honored and overwhelmed by the responsibility. I had spent my career navigating the unpredictable edges of human exploration, but nothing had prepared me for this. The weight of representing not just my crew, but my species, settled heavily on my shoulders. There was no room for mistakes. The day of departure was somber, despite the electric excitement that coursed through the planet. Crowds gathered in cities around the globe, watching live feeds as the fleet ascended from Earth's surface. My family had sent their goodbyes in a heartfelt message, their pride mixed with worry. "Just come back," my sister had said, her voice trembling. "Whatever you find out there, don't forget where you came from." As we crossed the threshold of Earth's atmosphere, leaving behind the pale blue dot that had nurtured us, I couldn't help but wonder if this was the start of a new chapter for humanity, or the beginning of the end. The stars stretched out before us, infinite and indifferent. And somewhere among them, an answer awaited. We just had to be brave enough to find it. The Nexus came into view long before we reached it, a massive structure suspended in the void, its presence dominating the space around it. It shimmered with an ethereal brilliance, like a living jewel floating against the backdrop of endless stars. No words could do it justice. It wasn't just vast. It was alive in a way that defied human understanding. Its surface is constantly shifting, adapting, and reconfiguring in real time. The architecture blended organic curves with geometric precision, as though nature and mathematics had conspired to create something utterly alien, yet strangely harmonious. It was a great struggle. Even from a distance, it was clear this was not merely a space station or a meeting point. It was a hub of unimaginable importance. A nexus, not just of trade or governance, but of cultures, histories, and civilizations far older than our own. Streams of ships flowed in and out of it, each one radically different in design. Some were sleek and symmetrical, others jagged and asymmetrical, and a few looked more like living organisms than spacecraft. There were crafts larger than entire cities and others no bigger than a shuttle, each gliding gracefully into assigned docks. As we approached, the tension aboard the Endeavour was palpable. The crew stared at the view screens in silence, their awe mingling with unease. It wasn't just the scale of the Nexus, it was what it represented. Humanity had always viewed itself as unique, special, and at the center of its own story. Yet here was a structure that told us, without words, that we were just one small part of a much grander narrative. A voice resonated through our ship's systems, soft and melodic, yet undeniably alien. It spoke in perfect English, though there was an underlying hum that suggested it was simultaneously addressing us in dozens of other languages. Humans of Sol 3, welcome to the Galactic Nexus. Please proceed to Dock 438. Follow the designated guide beams. All systems will remain under your control. Guide beams materialized outside, gentle threads of light weaving a path through the chaos of ships and docking bays. They moved with precision, curving and bending, as though aware of every other vessel in the vicinity. I gave the order, and the Endeavour followed obediently, our escort of two smaller ships trailing behind. Dock 438 expanded before us, a cavernous bay that adjusted itself as we approached. Panels reconfigured, platforms shifted, and the walls shimmered as if to accommodate our ships perfectly. A soft energy field enveloped us as we docked, cradling the Endeavour like a child being tucked into bed. The transition was so seamless that we barely felt the movement stop. The docking ramp extended, and the atmosphere within the Nexus adjusted to match our own. When the hatch opened, I stepped out first, flanked by my officers. The sight that greeted us was overwhelming. Representatives from dozens of species stood waiting, their forms as varied as their colors and textures. Some were humanoid, others completely alien in shape, beings with flowing tendrils, crystalline bodies, and forms that flickered like holograms. They observed us with expressions, or what I assumed were expressions, ranging from curiosity to what seemed like pity. It was unnerving, though not entirely surprising. We were the newcomers, the primitive upstarts in their eyes. And yet, as I took a deep breath and stepped forward, I resolved that no matter what awaited us, we would prove that humanity deserved to stand among the stars. The Galactic Council chamber was a sight unlike anything I had ever imagined. A vast circular room that seemed to stretch endlessly upward and outward, its walls shimmering with an ever-changing light that resembled a living aurora. Seats arranged in spiraling tiers surrounded the central platform, where an elegant podium-like structure floated, suspended in mid-air by an unseen force. Each seat was occupied by a representative from the countless civilizations that made up this incredible assembly. Some were vaguely familiar in their humanoid forms, while others were utterly alien. Creatures composed of swirling gas, beings of liquid metal that shifted and glimmered, and shapes that flickered in and out of visibility as though existing partially in another dimension. The room itself seemed alive, the air humming softly with energy, as if the very walls were recording, analyzing, and reacting to every moment within it. We were guided to a section of the chamber that had been set aside for us. It was smaller and less ornate than the others, a quiet reminder that we were the newest and least significant members of this cosmic congregation. My crew and I took our seats, trying not to stare too openly at the array of beings surrounding us. A being floated to the center of the room, its body resembling a luminous jellyfish. Its translucent form pulsed gently, radiating a soft blue light that filled the chamber. "Greetings," it said, its voice resonating not just in our ears, but seemingly in our very minds. I am Ansatar, moderator of this session of the Galactic Council. Today, we welcome a new species to our assembly, the humans of Sol 3. There was a murmur throughout the chamber, an indistinct chorus of whispers and vibrations. I couldn't tell if it was approval, skepticism, or indifference, but the weight of their attention settled heavily on us. Humans, Ansatar continued, you stand here today as representatives of your species. The Galactic Council exists to promote unity, cooperation, and the sharing of knowledge among all advanced civilizations. You have been extended an invitation to join us as equals, but before we proceed, it is customary for new entrants to introduce themselves and present their case for inclusion. I rose from my seat, my heart pounding. The moment felt impossibly large, as though every word I spoke would define humanity's place in this vast galactic tapestry. Members of the Council, I began, my voice steady despite the chaos inside me. It is an honor to stand before you. Humanity comes to you as explorers, learners, and seekers of truth. We are a young species, but we are driven by curiosity and an unyielding desire to grow. My words were met with silence. Then a crystalline being several tiers above us spoke, its voice like the chiming of distant bells. Curiosity and desire are commendable, but they are not unique. What do you bring to this council that we do not already possess? Before I could answer, another voice joined in, this one belonging to a towering insectoid creature. Your civilization is nascent. By our measures, it is barely past the stage of infancy. What can you contribute to an assembly that has existed for millennia? The questions came from all directions, each one tinged with skepticism. Their words were not unkind, but their tone made it clear they regarded us as little more than a novelty, a curiosity to be examined and dismissed. I took a slow breath, meeting the gaze of those who had spoken. We bring our perspective, I said firmly, our resilience, our creativity, and our unrelenting drive. Humanity has faced countless challenges and near extinction, yet we endure. We innovate, we adapt, and we dream. We may not yet have your wisdom or technology, but we bring the promise of what we could become. The room fell silent again, the council members studying me with inscrutable expressions. Ansatar's luminous body pulsed once, and it inclined slightly toward me. Your words are heard, human, it said. Now we shall see if your actions match them. The council's silence stretched unbearably, the weight of their collective gaze pressing down on me and my crew. Their skepticism was palpable, radiating from their stillness, their unreadable forms. For a moment, I felt small, not just as an individual, but as a representative of my species. A fledgling race standing before beings who had achieved heights we couldn't yet comprehend. Then the crystalline being who had spoken earlier shifted slightly, its surface refracting the light like a kaleidoscope. Humans, it began, its tone sharp and resonant. Words are easy. Promises, aspirations, dreams. These things cost you nothing. The Galactic Council was not built on dreams alone, but on the contributions of civilizations who have proven their worth. You claim resilience, creativity, and a drive to grow. Let us test that claim. Before I could respond, a second voice chimed in, this one deep and guttural, emanating from a shadowy figure that seemed to flicker between solidity and transparency. There is a star on the edge of the Quilarian system, a neutron star on the verge of collapse. Its destabilization threatens an inhabited world within its orbit. The task of stabilizing it is beyond the reach of many here. If your people are as innovative as you claim, then perhaps you will succeed where others have failed. The chamber filled with low murmurs, some voices sounding amused, others intrigued. My mind raced as I processed what they were asking. Neutron stars were some of the most dangerous and unstable phenomena in the universe. To stabilize one was no small feat, even for advanced civilizations. For humanity, with our limited experience in the cosmic theater, it bordered on impossible. Before I could voice a protest, Ansatar floated forward, its translucent body pulsing gently. The challenge has been presented. Will humanity accept? I turned to my crew, their faces a mix of disbelief and determination. We had not come this far to back down now. I squared my shoulders and met Ansatar's glowing gaze. We accept. There was no applause, no acknowledgement, just the same intense scrutiny as before. Ansatar inclined slightly. Very well. You will be provided with the necessary coordinates and any relevant data. The Council will observe your efforts. Should you succeed, it will prove your capacity for problem solving and your willingness to contribute to the collective good. With that, the meeting was adjourned, and we were escorted back to our ship. The journey to the docking bay was silent, my crew walking with an air of grim determination. Once aboard the Endeavour, the floodgates opened. "Commander, this is madness," one of my officers exclaimed, slamming a hand against the console. "A neutron star? We don't have the technology or the experience for something like this." Another spoke up, her voice calmer but no less urgent. "It's not just the star. It's the fact that we're being tested. They don't believe we can do it. They want us to fail." I raised a hand to quiet them. "Maybe they do," I admitted, "but failure isn't an option. We've been given a chance to prove ourselves, and we're going to take it. Humanity has never backed down from a challenge, and we're not starting now." We immediately began preparations. The data provided by the Council was staggering. Details about the star's instability, the planet it threatened, and the dangerous physics at play. The problem wasn't just technical. It was existential. We had to devise a solution with the limited resources aboard our fleet and an understanding of stellar mechanics that was still in its infancy. For hours, the ship buzzed with activity. Engineers and scientists pored over the data, throwing out ideas, sketching designs, and arguing over feasibility. Every minute felt like a lifetime as the reality of the task ahead sank in. But slowly, piece by piece, a plan began to take shape. Our solution was bold. Some would call it reckless. It involved using experimental gravitational tethers to siphon off the star's excess energy, redirecting it safely away from the planet. The process would be incredibly dangerous, requiring precise coordination and nerves of steel. But it was our only shot. As we prepared to set out for the Qualarian system, I gathered the crew for a final briefing. "This mission isn't just about saving a planet," I said, my voice steady despite the tension in the room. "It's about proving who we are and what we're capable of. We've faced impossible odds before, and we've always found a way through. This time will be no different." The crew responded with resolute nods, their fear tempered by determination. We knew the risks, but we also knew what was at stake. Failure would mean more than just the loss of a planet. It would mean the loss of humanity's place among the stars. With that thought in mind, we set course for the Qualarian system, ready to face the impossible. The journey to the Qualarian system was fraught with tension. Every member of the crew was acutely aware of what lay ahead. The enormity of the task loomed over us like a storm cloud, and yet there was no turning back. Humanity had been called to prove itself, and we would either rise to the occasion or be remembered as a failed experiment in the annals of galactic history. As we neared the system, the neutron star came into view on the main display. It was a magnificent and terrifying sight, a dense, seething orb of collapsing matter, its surface crackling with violent bursts of radiation. Tendrils of energy arced outward like solar flares, and the surrounding space shimmered with distorted light, evidence of the intense gravitational forces at work. Nearby, the threatened planet hung in precarious orbit, its fragile atmosphere shimmering under the relentless bombardment of radiation. The bridge was a hive of activity as the crew prepared for what would undoubtedly be the most dangerous operation any of us had ever undertaken. Our plan was audacious and untested. The gravitational tethers we intended to use were experimental at best, designed for smaller-scale applications like stabilizing asteroid fields or redirecting minor celestial objects. Using them on a neutron star was unprecedented, and the risks were astronomical. "Status report," I called out, breaking the silence that had settled over the bridge. "Gravitational tethers are primed," replied Chief Engineer Mendez, her voice steady despite the tension. "We've reinforced the structural integrity fields, but they'll only hold if we keep the energy transfer within calculated limits. Anything beyond that—" She trailed off, her meaning clear. "And the planets? Severe radiation damage to the surface, but its core is stable for now. If we can stabilize the star, the planet has a chance." I nodded, my mind racing through the dozens of variables that could spell disaster. Every aspect of this mission was a gamble. "Good. Let's get into position." The Endeavour maneuvered closer to the star, its shields pushed to their limits as waves of radiation buffeted the hull. The heat alone was enough to incinerate most ships, but our vessel, built for the extremes of deep space, held firm. We deployed the first tether, a shimmering line of energy that extended outward like a lifeline into the ship. It latched onto the star's magnetic field, stabilizing with a hum that reverberated through the ship. "Tether 1 is secure," Mendez confirmed. "Deploy the second," I ordered. The second tether followed, locking into place. The star reacted immediately, its surface rippling with energy as the tethers began to siphon off its excess gravitational force. Alarms blared as the ship's system struggled to compensate for the sudden influx of power. "Shield at critical," one of the officers reported. "Hold steady," I barked. "We're not losing this fight." The crew worked furiously, adjusting parameters and redistributing energy to keep the ship intact. The tethers glowed brighter as they continued to draw energy, redirecting it safely into deep space. The star's violent instability began to subside, its surface smoothing out as the gravitational forces reached equilibrium. But just as we thought we had it under control, a new wave of energy surged from the star, far stronger than we'd anticipated. One of the tethers faltered, its connection flickering dangerously. "Commander, we're losing tether 2, Mendez shouted. "Reinforce it," I yelled back. "Divert power from non-essential systems." The ship groaned under the strain, but the tether held. Slowly, agonizingly, the star began to stabilize once more. The planet's orbit corrected itself, its atmosphere no longer under siege. The danger had passed. The bridge erupted in cheers, relief washing over us like a tidal wave. I slumped back into my seat, the weight of the ordeal finally lifting. We had done it. Against all odds, humanity had faced the impossible, and won. The return to the galactic nexus was surreal, a quiet triumph tempered by exhaustion. The Endeavour and her accompanying ships moved through space with deliberate grace, their hulls scarred from radiation and strain but still intact. Every member of the crew carried a palpable sense of accomplishment, though it was mixed with a deep weariness. We had done something extraordinary, something that few had believed possible, but the question lingered in all our minds: would it be enough? As we neared the Nexus, the brilliant hub of galactic civilization loomed larger and more imposing than before. This time, however, it felt less alien and more like a destination we had earned the right to approach. The guide beams lit up once again, directing us back to Dock 438. The docking process was seamless, but this time, when the hatch opened, the atmosphere felt charged with anticipation. An escort awaited us, composed of figures from various species, their expressions unreadable. They led us back to the council chamber where the members of the assembly had already gathered. The sight was just as overwhelming as before, the sheer diversity of forms and presences, a reminder of how vast and ancient this galactic community was. Ansatar floated forward once more, its translucent body pulsing with a soft blue light. "Humans of Sol 3, it began, its voice echoing throughout the chamber. You were given a task that many here doubted you could complete, yet you have returned, and the star in the Quilarian system remains stable. Speak now of your experience." I stepped forward, feeling the weight of countless eyes on me. "Members of the council," I said, my voice steady despite the enormity of the moment. "The task you set before us was indeed daunting. Humanity faced challenges that pushed our technology, ingenuity, and resolve to their limits. But we succeeded because we refused to accept failure. We adapted, we innovated, and we persevered. This is who we are." A low murmur spread through the chamber, voices whispering in dozens of languages and tones. The crystalline being from before, its surface shimmering in shades of violet, spoke again. "You have shown capability, that much is clear. But more than capability, we require commitment. The stabilization of the Quilarian star benefits the Council as a whole, yet it is only one act. Are you prepared to take on the responsibilities that come with being part of this assembly?" I met its gaze, or what I assume to be its gaze. "We are prepared. Humanity may be young by your standards, but we are not naive. We understand that membership in this council is both a privilege and a duty. We are ready to stand alongside you, not as equals today, but as equals in spirit and in potential. Let us prove ourselves, not just in this moment, but in all the moments to come." Another voice joined in, this one belonging to a serpentine figure with scales that shimmered like liquid metal. "Bold words, but boldness alone is insufficient. You must bring something unique to this council, something that enriches us all. Tell us, human, what do you offer that we do not already have?" The question hung in the air, heavy with expectation. I took a deep breath, the answer forming in my mind. "Perspective," I said simply. "Humanity is young, yes, but that youth brings with it a certain audacity. We see the universe not as a series of problems to be managed, but as a canvas for boundless possibility. We dream of what could be, and we pursue those dreams relentlessly. Our creativity, our determination, and our ability to unite in the face of adversity, these are the gifts we bring." The chamber fell silent once more, the council members exchanging unreadable glances. Finally, Ansatar's form brightened, its light pulsing in slow, deliberate waves. "The council will deliberate. You will be informed of our decision shortly. For now, you may return to your vessel." The escort led us back to the Endeavor, where the crew waited anxiously for news. Hours passed, the tension aboard the ship growing with each moment. Then, at last, the message came through. "Humans of Sol 3, Ansatar's voice echoed through the comms. "The Council has reached a decision." The voice of Ansatar reverberated through the comms, and every member of the Endeavor fell silent, holding their breath, as if the universe itself had paused to listen. Humans of Sol 3. The Galactic Council has deliberated on your actions, your words, and the essence of your species. The decision was not unanimous, but it was clear. Humanity will be granted provisional membership in the Council. A collective exhale swept through the ship, followed by a wave of cheers and applause that echoed down every corridor. The tension that had gripped us for days finally broke, replaced by a sense of pride and relief. We had done it. Humanity had earned a place among the stars, not through conquest or arrogance, but through determination, ingenuity, and the willingness to take on the impossible. "Provisional membership," Ansatar continued, its tone measured, "is not merely a title. It is a trial period during which you must demonstrate not just your abilities, but your commitment to the principles of the Galactic Council. You will have access to shared knowledge and resources, but with limitations. Your actions will be closely observed, and your place here remains contingent on your conduct. Do you accept these terms?" I activated the comms, speaking not just to the Council but to everyone aboard the ship. "We accept," I said firmly. "Humanity understands that trust is earned, not given. We will prove ourselves worthy of this honor." The comms fell silent, and for a moment I simply stood there, letting the reality of what we had accomplished sink in. Then came a message from the Council. A formal invitation to a celebration in the Nexus to welcome humanity as a new member. It was an opportunity to engage directly with representatives from other civilizations, to learn, to share, and to begin forging the alliances that would shape our future. The Nexus was transformed for the occasion. The halls that had once felt imposing and unfamiliar now glowed with warm light, and the air buzzed with an energy that felt almost celebratory. Delegates from countless species gathered in the central chamber, their diverse forms creating a dazzling mosaic of life. The Council's decision had drawn widespread attention, and it was clear that our presence was a subject of great curiosity. As we entered, the room quieted, all eyes turning to us. I could feel the weight of their scrutiny, but there was no hostility, only interest. Ansatar floated forward to formally announce our status, its luminous form glowing brighter than ever. "Humans of Sol 3, it said, addressing both the crowd and us. "You have taken your first steps into the galactic community. Your actions in stabilizing the Qualarian star have shown your capacity for ingenuity and cooperation. While your journey is just beginning, the Council recognizes the potential within you. Welcome." A wave of applause spread through the chamber, and for the first time, it felt as though we were not just being observed, but embraced. Delegates approached us, some with questions, others with congratulations. A crystalline being thanked us for saving its homeworld, its voice resonating like music. An insectoid envoy offered insights into its species' unique energy technologies, promising future collaboration. The evening was a whirlwind of conversations and connections, each interaction revealing just how vast and varied the galaxy truly was. Yet, amid the awe and excitement, there was a grounding realization. This was only the beginning. Humanity's inclusion in the Council was not an endpoint, but the start of a far greater journey. As the celebration wound down and we returned to the Endeavor, I gathered the crew one final time. "Today," I began, "we've achieved something extraordinary. We've proven that humanity has a place among the stars. But make no mistake, this is just the first step. The galaxy is watching us, and the challenges ahead will be even greater. But if we've shown anything, it's that we're ready. Together, we'll face whatever comes next." The crew responded with a resounding cheer, their faces alight with determination. Outside the ship, the Nexus shimmered with endless possibilities. We had earned our place, but more importantly, we had earned a future among the stars.